Hello everyone and welcome to D&D News. How's it going? I am here. I am Greg Tito and I like to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. About all of the fun stuff that happens in D&D world as I sip my coffee and chat with you guys. How are you guys doing this fine day? Hi. Oh, I didn't put enough sugar in that coffee. Also, I'm slightly off center. How's that one? Is that better? I'm using all of the frame. I am excited today because we have so much fun stuff to talk about. It is going to be fun. I am... Hi everybody. Hi, Elwarius. Hello, Flash Fletch. How's it going? Weekend was good. I had a good weekend. I went to go see the Red Sox on Friday night here in Seattle. They lost. No, actually, they won that game in dramatic fashion, but I didn't get to see that because my girls were too tired, and we left after the 8th inning, which I seemed like a fair bet. But no, the Red Sox ended up coming back to win in the 9th, but we didn't get to see that. Thank you for the sub, Rob and Laura. Good to see you again. I believe I met you in the HatsCons. In back in the day, so good to see you. Let's go Sox. That's right, Elvin Kneecapper. You are my new best friend. I've got so many best friends, but I'm glad you're here because this is Red Sox hour where we talk about all things sports. Sadly, no. We are getting ready for Dice Camera Action episode 137, coming off of the Waffle Cruise fun times at PAX East, in which they were in a game that was dungeon mastered not by Mr. Chris Perkins, but by Ms. Kate Welch, and it was amazing. For those of you who haven't been able to check it out, you should. That will be going up on our YouTube channel very soon, but the Twitch version of that game is available now. So we're excited to get back to 137, which is awesome. I got the title for today's episode. You ready? Of Chairs and Laissez-Fairs. I think Chris Perkins is super fun, he spends a lot of time enjoying making up the episode names before it even gets played. So I think that's fantastic, and I like to highlight them as much as I can. No guest today. It'll just be the 4 Waffle crew of Anna Prosser, Holly Conrad, Jared Knabenbauer, and Nathan Sharp, playing with Mr. Chris Perkins with Pelham Green at the helm, making it happen. We love Pelham Green. He's been doing great stuff as producer of Dice Camera Action. I don't know if you guys know this, but he has been here on the D&D team producing and or helping making Dice Camera Action happen since episode 5, I believe. I believe that's when he came on, which is pretty amazing. So woot for Pelham Green. Give it up. All right, so on this here program is where I talk about all the fun news for Dungeons & Dragons, and I've got one really exciting thing to talk about. I'm going to skip right ahead to some press about it, since, why do you even want to hear about me talking about it when you can read other folks talking about it? So let me pop in this. What do you think about this? Yes. Our friend Gavin Sheehan at Bleeding Cool wrote this to say about Acquisitions Incorporated, the D&D source book. And that's a little bit of its cover right there. But this quote, Acquisitions Incorporated has been a long-running favorite at the PAX conventions, and now players can get in on the fun. That's a pretty good way. That's a pretty good way to put that all together. That's how I've been positioning this book in my head, is that if you have enjoyed the type of madcap fun that has been at D&D, at the D&D table at PAX's, on stage at the Benaroya Hall, or at the Convention Center in Boston for PAX East, all that fun stuff, if you want to play in a game that's flavored like that in the Forgotten Realms, this is the source book for how you can do it. It details all types of fun stuff about starting up your own chapter for it, as well as giving DMs and players options that you can jump into. There's also a pretty extensive adventure or campaign that you can run that's written by Jerry Holkins, otherwise known as Omen Drawn, CEO of Acquisitions Incorporated himself. My friend Alyssa Grant, who used to be here on the D&D team, was a producer on this book from the Penny Arcade side. She's also the producer of Acquisitions Incorporated and the C team. So she was instrumental in making sure this book came together. And over here on the D&D team, Jeremy Crawford, Ben Petrosor, Bill Benham, Dan Tovar, a whole bunch of folks were working on making the book publishable, not publishable, but published from the Dungeons and Dragons team. So it's pretty exciting. It's a collaboration. I mean, it's like any other. It's almost like a D&D group of itself, with the combining forces of Penny Arcade and AC Inc. and the D&D team coming together to make this book. So I hope you can check it out. It's releasing on June 18th, 2019. So it is also going to be available on most of the digital areas where you get books, in addition to in your friendly local game store. And you can even purchase it from Penny Arcade themselves. I know they had a pretty good deal for that on this weekend. I should have checked to make sure it was still open now, but I think you could have gotten a green flame pin if you were pre-ordering on the Penny Arcade site for that. So check it out if you can. I'm excited. And yes, Doctor says yay. Hobbit says, which is of course the Twitter handle for Alyssa Grant. So you should follow her. She does amazing stuff. She was also in my Out of the Abyss campaign, playing Ruri. And she was instrumental in making that show a success. D&D Out of the Abyss Live is what I believe we called that. And she, with all of those players, were really fantastic. So I love it, and I love that she's still working on stuff within the Dungeons & Dragons community. So check it out if you can. Oh yes, of course. There were also lots of freelancers that contributed to that AC Inc. book, including Sean Merwin and Teos, otherwise known as Alpha Stream or a Flump, if you want to just tell them that as well. So thanks for pointing that out in the chat, my friends. They did great stuff. Teos Abadia, who we had on the podcast on Dragon Talk, and maybe we should have him back on soon, maybe in June as we get closer to the release of Acquisitions Incorporated, the D&D source book. I have to say that each time because you can't just say the release of Acquisitions Incorporated, because what are you talking about? The book, the group, the show, all of the things involved. So when I'm saying Acquisitions Incorporated, the D&D source book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Cool. That's, again, coming on June 18th. Also coming is Ghost of Saltmarsh, a book of adventure for the high seas for characters levels 1 through 12. It details the town of Saltmarsh, as well as presenting a bunch of adventures. It looks like 7 or 8 different adventures, some of which were inspired by the U series of adventures from the early 80s, published by UK TSR, that different office. And that one comes out on May 21st, and there's 2 types of covers available. One is the standard cover, which I love. The artwork is by Gregors Rutkowski. It's super awesome. And then there's an alternate cover with a soft touch similar to Volo's Guide to Monsters, as well as some shiny bits of a Sahuagin, and that one is created by N.C. Winters, and looks amazing. You can only get the alternate cover in game stores, so if you're excited about that, I would jump into your friendly local game store now and tell them that you want a copy. Yes, make it happen. Just glancing here at the chat, making sure everyone is good. Yes, there is a new episode of Dungeons and Dragons DCA tonight. I don't know why, I just say words sometimes. And it is episode 137. I'm doing all the wrong information. This is basically like D&D not news. And no one make that joke. So here's some other fun stuff that I wanted to highlight in the news, including some stuff. Well, that's not. Oh yeah, here it is. Bum-ba-da-bum. Check this out. 10 old PC games still worth playing today. Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Am was on that list. What sets Baldur's Gate 2 aside is the wonderfully intricate level design. The entire world is beautiful and urges you to explore to the depths, that's hard to say, of Am. So yeah, we have been watching Kate Welch play through Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Am, on her show, Welch's Game Juice, which is at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And here I am. I'm not going to get it wrong this time, you guys. I'm going to look before I speak, as my mom would say. Yes, it's 3 p.m. Pacific time here on the Twitch channel. And she's been going through Baldur's Gate 2 for the last few weeks, actually. And she gives away codes for Baldur's Gate 2, the Enhanced Edition, 2 of them each week from our friends at Beamdog. So check that out if you can. And there's some other fun stuff I wanted to make sure you knew about, including Sci-Fi Wire talking about the Critical Role and all of their success. So there are about 60,000 fans and counting directly invested in the new animated series, and as expected from a famously devoted fandom, they're already craving specifics. That is crazy. I didn't realize it was already up to 60,000 contributors to the Critical Role Kickstarter for their animated series. It's looking great. I love basically everybody from that cast. They make me, I don't know, they make me feel good about what's going on in the D&D community. To a certain extent, there's always ways to improve and get better, but I really enjoy it. And I like seeing the entire community come together and watch all of the live streams they do on Thursday nights, and I can't wait to see this new iteration of an animated version. Their comic books have been great, but here we're going in a whole nother way. All right, I wanted to show off something that's happening, and I'm glad that this was posted early, but it is a new fundraiser for 2019 for the Lambert House. So the Lambert House is a wonderful organization that gives all types of resources for people within the LGBTQ youth here in Seattle. We love it. And last year, I see these t-shirts with these symbols up all the time. So, these are some of the ones that you can purchase. And all of the proceeds go to support the Lambert House as they raise funds for all of their programs. Last year, Lambert House served 1,113 unique individual youth, 12% of which are currently homeless. 69% of them are between the ages of 11 and 17, and 31% are between the ages of 18 and 22. Their goals are to continue to provide needed services for LGBTQ youth and to expand those services to include more small towns and rural areas here in King County. And instead of just the t-shirts, which were available last year, we are offering all types of different ways to get these amazing symbols. The rainbow ampersand is, again, I feel like I see it everywhere now, and it always brings a light into my heart. Here are a few there's pop sockets that you can grab with the D&D ampersand, as well as the magic planeswalker symbol. That looks like a notebook, which is super neat. But I also just love these tank tops, hoodies, and t-shirts. And then, of course, that tote bag. You can't go wrong with that tote bag, right? I love a good canvas tote bag, so being able to see that makes me very happy. Good stuff all around. I would appreciate all of you folks who have purchased those things. You're all good people. Here's another thing I wanted to shout out from the press. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Hold on a second. That's not the right button at all either. What? Oh, is this what I wanted to see? Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons in Orange County. I just really like that artwork, honestly. So what would you guys like to do? That's a good quote, for sure. So, oh yeah, that's what that. All right, let me tell you more about what that has to say. From Orange County Weekly, which is not a place I go to very often. I'll tell you now. Oh, but it's a nice little way to talk about how more Dungeons and Dragons is booming up everywhere. Yeah, good article if you haven't checked it out. It's worthwhile. As Declasser put it in there, it is you know, a quick way if you're interested in trying to figure out how to jump into the D&D community. I know I'm not necessarily talking to the choir about that, since you are watching the D&D news program with me here, but there's a lot there for it, for sure. Ways to get in. I am. What do you think this is? D&D thoughts. If an elf and a human were particularly close to the human's life, the elf often remains a weird sort of family friend. Like, yeah, we really don't know why the guy with the pointy ears is at the potluck, but I heard he was friends with Grandma, so it's cool. Interesting. Interesting way to think about things happening in you know, elves, they live for a very, very long time. Yeah, I can see that being strange. Have you guys played older elf-like characters and how they have been in relationships for a long time? That was a subplot of the Lord of the Rings that I always enjoyed, was how those that entered into romantic relationships with lesser, you know, people who had shorter lifespans, and the sadness that would come from having to say goodbye. But then, you know, some say that it was not worth the relationship to begin with. But I think there were characters that say that having known them even for a short time was worthwhile and brought joy into their lives. So what is wrong with that? And, you know, I'm not a pet person per se. I never really owned a pet. I was allergic to both cats and dogs, as were most of my family. So that was the reason why. But I imagine that's a lot similar for folks who create a bond with a pet. And you know, it's an amazing amount of joy that you get from that short time, and you wouldn't have it any other way, even though the sadness of saying goodbye to them can be strong. I don't know why all of a sudden I got super deep talking about love and loss, but that's what happens when you click on random D&D thoughts from the D&D community. And Jen Vaughn says I should get a lizard. Is that because they live forever? Is that true? I think that makes sense. And no, I didn't mean to compare, you know, humans to elf pets, but I mean, I'm as a player who loves to play as elves, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. Speaking of lizards, what is this lizard paladin looking like? Ooh, I love that artwork of what a lizard paladin, or maybe like a way of a dragonborn paladin might look like. Although, okay, this one is specifically a lizard man paladin. I like that one. I think a lizardman paladin would probably be well armored like that, as well as using a spear and not a sword or a hammer, as is typically shown. Cool stuff. What do you guys think of that artwork? I like it. All right. Wait a second. Oh, wait, that's where. There it is. All right, so in about 7 minutes, I'll be throwing it to our D&D Rewind, which is our way to highlight some of the fun stuff that's going on in the D&D community, mostly here on the twitch.tv/D&D channel. It's a great way to get introduced to a whole bunch of new shows, perhaps ones that you aren't yet listening to and or watching. So we'll show that off in just a little bit. But I wanted to talk about a couple other fun things that we don't get to highlight too often. One is the Stranger Things D&D role-playing game starter set. So Stranger Things is coming out with a new season this summer. I don't know if you know that. Are you a fan of the Stranger Things? But it is. It's coming this July, season 3, I believe. I wonder if they're calling it Stranger Things 3 without the season moniker like they did last time. But it is pretty cool. Being filmed in the Atlanta area, right, Dustin? I think so. Very fun combination of us working together with that group for the starter set, the D&D Stranger Things starter set. We've heard some reports of it being out a little bit early, but you know the real release date that we have for it is May 1st. It'll be $25, and it has everything you need to get started playing Dungeons & Dragons, including all of the basic rules, some character sheets, some dice, 2 miniatures of the Demogorgon, as well as an adventure that was authored by Mike Merles here on the D&D team that looks like the character Mike's notebook and takes some of the cues from the, Dungeons & Dragons of yore with some awesome grid maps and whatnot. Not to mention the chance to, I believe it's called the quest for the Thessal Hydra, the hunt for the Thessal Hydra, and there's Demogorgons and stuff throughout, and it looks like it's from Mike's notebook himself, so that's pretty neat. And we were showing it off a lot during New York Toy Fair. It got tons of pre-orders. People were interested in it, and our partners over at Hasbro don't necessarily do a lot of pre-orders for their toys, so they were very excited to see the amount of excitement for this Stranger Things starter set, and I'm hoping there's a lot of people out there who just loved that show, loved how it might have introduced them to the idea of Dungeons & Dragons, and they might want to pick up this starter set from a store that they frequent, like one of the larger stores out there, and bring it home and hopefully try to play with their families. The starter sets are always designed at getting people to start playing Dungeons & Dragons, so I'm hoping that is a jumping off point for a lot of folks. There's that Venn diagram of people who enjoy Stranger Things and already play Dungeons & Dragons, and that sliver is right here. And I don't know, you guys know what a Venn diagram is? It's right here. It's like that middle part. But I bet there's this whole other part of people who enjoy Stranger Things who have not yet played Dungeons & Dragons, and we're hoping to increase the overlap between those two things. These are really very scientific hand movements that only you can decipher and make sense of. This is a Venn diagram. These are the circles. Yes. Sorry, Kika. I really screwed that up. But you know what I'm trying to say. Please make a GIF of that because it's very important. It's pronounced GIF, by the way, just to make sure you guys all know that. I'm just starting to go crazy. So we're going to have dice camera action beginning in about 33 minutes. It again is episode 137. It has all of the Waffle crew back from Boston in their, I assume they're all in their home places. They may not be, calling in to recap what's happening with Chris Perkins. Episode is called "Of Chairs and Laissez-Fairs," so get ready for that. I am going to talk like William Shatner about 2 new Endless Quest books coming out. Did you guys know that? We had 4 Endless Quest books last year. They were written by Matt Forbeck. They were kind of a pick your path way of reading through a Dungeons & Dragons story. 4 of them were focusing on the 4 main classes, the archetypes: rogue, fighter, wizard, cleric. A lot of them were set in places that you might have remembered from Dungeons & Dragons adventures, such as Chult or Waterdeep. Tons of fun lore information interspersed throughout them. They're great for young readers. But again, there was only 4 of them. There's 2 new ones coming out this year. One of them is called D&D Escape from Castle Ravenloft, and that's a cleric adventure. It entails escaping from Strahd's lair before you are doomed to remain there forever. And that is a cleric interaction. Then there is D&D The Mad Mages Academy. And that one is a rogue adventure. and it is all about stealing a spell book from the Black Cloak himself, Hallister Blackcloak, who rules from Undermountain and the Mad Mage, which he's kind of the jerk. But you will be able to vie against him and hopefully steal his spell book by reading through that Endless Quest book. I don't have the exact announced or release dates for that in front of me, so let me check what those may be. Perhaps you, my friends, will be able to get that information before I. September 3rd is when those are coming out. Or at least the Mad Mage one is coming out September 3rd. So look for them in September. They will be able to be on your shelves. I've been hearing from a lot of folks who have had their chitlins be able to read through them. So that's exciting. And I'm playing through Waterdeep Dragon Heist right now with my home group in West Seattle, and one of my players was like, "Oh yeah, I was reading through some of that stuff that my son was reading on the Endless Quest book, and it's set in Waterdeep." So he's really excited that there was some crossover of what's happening in those Endless Quest books and the amazing stuff that he has been playing with me as Dungeon Master. I put amazing in there. That might not be amazing, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right. It is time for D&D Rewind. We are excited for this. This is the video where we showcase bits and clips from the last week of D&D shows here on the D&D Twitch channel. And hopefully you can get into them and maybe learn about a new show that you want to be watching. So here we go. D&D Rewind for this week of April Fools right now.
We are so boned.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wait,
Look at the way it's holding in the old
Wait.
over your
Wait,
keyboard.
I am
Just
small.
like glue it away.
It's not going to take.
Yes. Smile.
That is so cool.
Wow. It's reaching me.
That is so.
Oh God, it's pulling on the table.
This is
Okay.
incredible. The paper's fuzzy.
All right, guys. Well,
This smoke person floats up into the passage, gives a very deep bow to both of you, and then starts its way down the passage.
I also, like, if I'm allowed to add, like, I would like to think that it wears, like, a top hat, but when it sees Mercy, it, like, removes it, and, like, it
Yes.
just vanishes.
Yes, just for like a very, like, it pulls it down and like does the thing where it rolls down his arm and like it
Yes.
floats out into nothing and then poofs out like cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like your magic, Varghese.
Keep in mind, temporary hit points do not stack. So whenever you gain temporary hit points, if you already have temporary hit points, you decide which ones to keep. And that means you have to be careful. If, let's say, you're under the effect of something else, say a spell that gives you temporary hit points and says, while you have these temporary hit points, this other effect is in place. If you accept these other temporary hit points and they overwrite those other ones, you're going to shut that spell off.
right.
Critter, haphazardly shove your hand in that space, expecting that there's an illusion there and that you'll reach through it.
Critter charges that space full force, like a sprint.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Such a bad influence.
Critter, I'm just like, what is this, like a check or like, this like a mess? I don't know.
I don't know what it is, but it's stupid.
Everyone is sort of dazed, and they all sort of blink, and in a haze, and sort of Vraska turns and looks behind her throne at you all. How? Who are you?
We're the goddamn guardians of the guild pack. We said that.
Should we discuss spiritual guardians? Does anybody want to talk about spiritual guardians? 'Cause
About the best
we could do
science
that.
fiction movie, it's definitely Jupiter Ascending.
Well, I gotta go.
That's enough for me.
Hot takes.
hot take. I can always make someone pissed off about it, and I genuinely mean it. I fucking love Jupiter Ascending.
I've never seen it.
Such a good movie.
I love how he actually left.
Yeah.
Well, Miro's the GM.
Hello! What a great, wonderful D&D Rewind. So much fun stuff there. I loved all the hilarity and laughing that I was able to see. And yeah, man, Dustin, that D4 map terrain looked amazing. That's good to see. Well done. You can nominate clips for D&D Rewind. The best way to do that is to clip it onto, using the Twitch interface. You can, set parameters and be like, oh, this clip was awesome. It's tweeted out via social media. The more people that view it, the more, views it gets, the more it kind of rises to the top and lets the amazing Steve Sprinkles, who edits that together for us, see which clips are the most popular and the most viewed. So that's the best way to do it. The other way you can do it is kind of tag in folks and creators on social media, sharing that clip, and that'll get more and more people looking at it. So that's the best way to do it, and we'd love to see it. So good job again on Steve on editing that together. Really appreciate it, and there's more to come from you guys if you clip in other folks' stuff. But I would like to talk to you now about Adventurers League. That is the D&D official play campaign, and that means that you can create an Adventurers League character and take that character to any friendly local game store, a convention, a charity event, even your own home, on top of a lighthouse, in the International Space Station. Why do I use always those same examples? I don't know. They're just the ones that spring to mind. You can do it at the bottom of the ocean. You can play a Adventurers League game from the Kremlin. You can play it from the Acropolis in Greece, Athens, to be more specific. Actually, can people please start posting pictures of themselves playing in Dungeons and Dragons in tons of landmarky type places? That would just tickle my funny bone, and I would enjoy it. Without, of course, breaking any laws or anything by doing that. By no means am I suggesting that. I just like the idea of people playing Dungeons and Dragons in fun places. And yeah, I'll just leave that right there. Anything can happen. So, Adventurers League news. For April Fools, which was yesterday, which I tried to allude to before the D&D Rewind, which probably made you think that there was going to be an April Fool's joke in there, which there wasn't. But the D&D Adventurers League admins released Minsk and Boo's Guide to Stuff and Things. And this supplement is packed with some of the most ridiculous subclasses you've ever seen. I'm staying on script, you guys. Like the Flumph domain and the Circle of Garbage for all of your fun druids out there. Alas, they are not Adventurers League legal. You can't necessarily use these subclasses when you play an Adventurers League content, but there is an adventure in that supplement called Undermountain the Musical, and you have to do that with jazz hands or it's just not real. And you can use that for Adventurers League play, and there's a sweet and silly reward in store for you if you play through it with your AL character. And just to make sure you see how silly it is, oh, I guess it's not that silly looking of a cover. It's definitely using the original amazing artwork for Minsk and Boo. I believe that was created by Max Dunbar for the Legends of Baldur's Gate comic book series. But it is official. You can see the official tag right there. That means it's official. So check it out if you can. And all of the proceeds upon purchasing that supplement will go towards Extra Life. We are really beginning to ramp up our Extra Life donation drive for this year. We've been doing it for the last 5 years and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Seattle Children's Hospital or any children's hospital in the Children's Miracle Network. And that is a great cause to get more funds to help sick kids. So get out there and make it happen. Purchase this amazing bit of content created by the D&D Adventurers League admins, and that's a nice way to do it. You get content, plus you help out a good cause. Boom, boom. It's like a double whammy. So people play Adventurers League all over the place, as you know, and we like to show off some photographs of people playing D&D Adventurers League. And this year, this is what we got. check it out. Oh, all those amazing people playing as Grung in the second year of running We Are Grung. First year, we had 3 people dressed in costume. This is how many we had this year. While it's not an Adventurers League event, this multi-table extravaganza was started by AL community to poke fun at Chris Lindsay, who is the, not necessarily the leader of the D&D Adventurers League, but the framework holder. He is the guy who sees the code in the matrix for the Adventurers League, and he's a big fan of Grung. He fought for them to be included in the Volo's Guide to Monsters. They're adorable. In fact, the current conception of them, I'm holding it up like I have the miniature, but I don't. But there's a little tiny Grung miniature in the latest WizKids miniatures set that I just really love, and that's all due to Chris Lindsay and his love of Grung. So that's why they got to dress up in costume, which I think is fantastic. You can get the adventure that they played for in the We Are Grung thing there at the Dungeon Masters Guild. It's called We Are Grung. We'll throw it. It's already in there. Declass Sarah already put it in there. Linking to that. It's We Are Grung Life all over the place. So check it out if you can. And if you want to get a picture of your Adventurers League crew here highlighted on D&D News, well, you can. Send photos of your group to community@dndadventurersleague.org, and we'll do a group shout out. Include a blurb about your friendly local game store, the state and country, or whatever information you want us to share, and I will read it here for all the fans to see. So make it happen. Send in your photos, and I can't wait to see what all you guys are up to. Do it. All right, speaking of Dungeon Masters Guild, what is the Dungeon Masters Guild? Well, let me tell you. It lets you publish D&D 5th edition material for fun and a little bit of profit. It's the only platform where you can publish adventures and supplements within the Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft, Ravnica, and other Wizards IP. Here's some fun Dungeon Masters Guild news. The latest bundle of many things is all about Phandelver. Ever wonder what happened to Phandalin after the starter set, or looking for more lead-ins into the story? The Phandelver Expanded Bundle has covered with prequels, sequels, and more. If you don't know exactly what we're talking about, The Lost Mines of Phandelver was the adventure that was in the D&D starter set for 5th edition. Many people have touted that adventure as an amazing, kind of open-ended adventure that got people into the storytelling mystique that Dungeons & Dragons, and especially Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, is all about. And because of that, so many people have ways to expand that adventure. So jump into it. The bundle is pretty cool. And I also want to focus on letting everybody know about Uncaged Volume 1. That's an appalling morass. Every creature in the multiverse has a story to tell, even the monsters. That's the tagline. Ooh, that's some tier 2 monsters right about there. Uncaged Volume 1. I love this hardcover book. It has been available for purchase in the Dungeon Masters Guild as a PDF for a while, but you can now purchase this as a hardcover book here. Many people in the community has been giving it rave reviews, calling it rich, engaging, and diverse, and a landmark publication in the social history of D&D. That's a pretty bold statement. Check it out if you can. I love the cover. The artwork is by Samantha Darcy, which makes me feel just kind of really happy inside. I don't know why. Even though it's a pretty dark image, I love it, and I think it speaks to the storytelling that is inherent within Dungeons & Dragons, as well as what the kind of community is creating right now. So jump in and grab that if you can, because I dig it. All right, so one thing I want to get out before we move on too far, I showed you this. Here's the actual cover a little bit more for Exorcisms Incorporated, the D&D source book. Pretty badass. As you can see in the bottom there, it says a D&D product created in partnership with Penny Arcade. And I believe this art was done by Mike Krahulik, the artist for Acquisitions Incorporated. Tons of fun stuff happening there. But one of the other things I wanted to shout out was Warriors of Waterdeep Bum, bum, bum. This game is available in Canada right now. It has been in what they call in the mobile biz a soft launch for the last few months, getting everybody it's basically like a beta test, but only available to people in one market, and that market is Canada. And us being not too far from Canada here in the Seattle Pacific Northwest area, there might be a few folks listening to this who might be able to jump in and grab it right now. But there is going to be a worldwide launch for this very soon, this spring, probably aiming for next month, or actually it is aiming for next month, so I can tell you that. It's awesome. It's kind of a turn-based role-playing strategy game. You assemble your party. You are able to do abilities and attack D&D monsters like ogres and red dragons and all of the above. It's set in Waterdeep, of course, so you are able to interact with tons of characters like Laeral Silverhand and Durnan and Mert the Moneylender to grab loot. It's free to play. You don't have to purchase it to jump in. There are, of course, mechanisms that will accept your monies in order to make it a little bit easier to level on, but you never have to purchase anything. You can certainly do it by time invested, which is always the hallmark of a well-designed mobile game. So those of you in Canada, check it out if you can. We'll be having a interview with Stephen David Wark about this game. It's an older interview. We talked to him, I believe, last summer, but we'll be putting that on the Dragon Talk podcast feed in the next few days. So check that out if you can, if you're interested in finding out more. It's good stuff. Get it got is the way to say it. We have some comic book news for you. So A Darkened Wish is out now, or at least the first issue of which. That is a 5-issue miniseries from IDW Publishing. It's written by 2 members of the amazing Dungeons & Dragons and Critter communities. B. Dave Walters was the writer. The artwork is all by Tess Fowler, and it is amazing. So you should do it. Yeah. TK, yeah, nobody says what I say. I just sometimes say things because there's too much coffee in my body. I think I've had what are these, 20 ounces? I think I've had 40 ounces, if you know what I mean. 40 ounces to freedom. So check out A Darkened Wish. Again, issue number 1 is out now. You can get it on Comixology if you want to download it. I've heard from reports from people that it is actually sold out of some comic book stores. Hopefully, more copies should be coming in soon. But I'm excited about issue 2, 3, 4, and 5 to see the continuation of that story, and you should be too. Rick and Morty versus Dungeons & Dragons, written by Jim Zub, Patrick Rothfuss, and artwork by Troy Little. All 4 issues of that miniseries are out and complete, and because of that, there is now a paperback book. Brum, brum, brum. There's actually a hardcover book version of it too that you can grab now. There's 2 exclusive versions. One is at GameStop, which includes an adventure written by Adam Lee and original cover by Mike Vasquez, and a Barnes & Noble exclusive, which has a gold border, and there's a cover and a poster included in that version as well. WizKids has the Falling Star ship, sailing ship. It's out now. It's a perfect way to get ready to start playing in Saltmarsh. And I'm just gonna throw that out there just so we have some visual fun stuff here. The Falling Star ship is in a world incredible. It's one of the best looking models for D&D miniatures I've ever seen. So much detail. I really enjoyed all of the fun stuff involved in it, and I really dug it. So there's opening and closing of doors. There's a gold dragon at the figurehead. There is a anchor that goes down. That's a dragon's claw. That's what this dragon's claw means. That's what that, if you're wondering what the Venn diagram, that's that. And then dragon's claw anchor is that thing, just so you guys know. It is fantastic, and you should pick it up if you haven't, or even to see it displayed if you can. We've had it here at the D&D office for a little while and have been able to just bring people by and their jaws just like drop down to the ground. So check it out if you can. Super fun. Also in support of the Ghost of Saltmarsh book that's coming out is Beadle and Grimm's Sinister Silver Edition. That's right. Following on the heels of the Platinum Edition of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, the Sinister Silver Edition is a little bit less of a investment. I believe it is still in the $175 range. It is going to have 12 plus in-world documents and letters, battle maps, a large area map, 30 plus encounter cards, 2 physical in-world jewelry items created by Han Solo, a custom Dungeon Master screen, and 12 bonus encounters and characters. All that for $175. Much less pricier than their Platinum Edition, but it has the idea of giving your Dungeon Master more tools for his kit. I love using all of the bits and bobs that are in the Platinum Edition to enhance the game of Waterdeep that I've been playing. So I have no doubt that the Silver Edition for Ghosts of Saltmarsh will be doing just that for those of you who love the seafaring. I personally, if I was creating that, I would have put some seawater in a jar, and you open that up, and then you get some sense memory of what's happening in the sun. Maybe you have like a rotting fish in the Silver Edition, so that you can open that up, and then all of a sudden you're transported to low tide. Man, I'm giving a whole bunch of wonderful ideas to Matthew Lillard and his group there at Beadle and Grimm's. But let's jump into it. Seawater candles, right? Exactly. There's Cantrip Candles, which is somebody who makes candles that do exactly what I'm talking about. So maybe it's not outside the realm of possibility. And I think they missed their chance for all of the what's the word for olfactory senses that could be used for all that fun stuff. So alas and alack, they did not do that, but maybe they'll be doing that for some other things coming up. Also want to give you a preview for Dungeons & Dragons Young Adventurers Guide series. Those are headed up by Jim Zub. There'll be 4 titles. These are new books from our friends at 10 Speed Press. They published the Art and Arcana visual history book that released last year. It's for ages 8 to 12, young readers, getting them on board for D&D concepts. So the first 2 that will come out on July 16th are Monsters and Creatures and Warriors and Weapons. And again, they give the kind of ideas and concepts behind some of the lore of Dungeons & Dragons, as well as what it's like to play in the game itself. So I think it's a great, if the D&D starter set is one way to get into the game, and then the player's handbook is here, the Young Adventurer's Guide books might be in here. More visual things. This is like a bar graph, I'm thinking, or maybe a timeline bar graph. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. But I think that'd be really cool. Those are coming out again on July 16th, and then 2 more, Dungeons and Tombs and Wizards and Spells. Those are coming out in the fall, so look for that if you can. All right, so we have episode 137 of Dice Camera Action coming very soon, in just about 8 minutes. I'm going to go through some of the fun things you can find on this D&D channel soon, so that you are aware. Tomorrow, we've got 9 a.m. Pacific time. Roll20 presents Jace Beleren Must Die. That's Adam Coble playing with an amazing group of players, including Carlos Luna, TK Johnson, hi TK, Masood Haq, and Hake, and Katie May, and they're playing through in the world of Ravnica. So they're playing Dungeons and Dragons in the magic world of Ravnica that the 2 most recent sets of Magic the Gathering has been in. Hey, did you guys check out the arena tournament that happened over the weekend at PAX East? It was pretty awesome to see so many people excited about what is essentially people playing a fantasy game, slinging spells at each other. I really enjoyed it, and I've been getting into Magic Arena a lot recently. But if you love all the storytelling that happens in Magic cards, haven't been able to interact with it when you're playing that kind of one-on-one competitive game, now you can with Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and I think Adam Coble shows this off really well on Jace Beleren Must Die. There's another show that's coming up later that I will talk about that does that too. Heroes of the Vel is Dungeon Master Todd Kenrick from D&D Beyond, playing with another amazing group of players, including Adam Bradford, Lauren Urban, TJ Storm, Hope Lavelle, and Jennifer Kretschmer. That is being hosted. It's on the D&D Beyond channel, but we're hosting it here on the D&D channel. That starts at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Then at 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have Acquisitions Incorporated, the C Team, with Dungeon Master Jerry Holkins, God, there's just so many amazing groups of people. Kate Welch, Amy Falcone, Amy Hartman, Chris Straub. Maybe there'll be some hints dropped about what's happening with the Acquisitions Incorporated source book in that episode, but check it out if you can. Then on Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we have the D&D Beyond Dev Update, which is Adam Bradford. I don't know if you know, but Adam Bradford is like the architect behind everything that's happening with the D&D Beyond platform. If you haven't been using D&D Beyond while playing Dungeons & Dragons, it's time to jump in. You can make your character, you can look up spells super fast, you can get any kind of information you want about playing Dungeons & Dragons at the table, just like that. I love it. I use it. I can't imagine not using it at this point. Plus, we use it for our random character generator segment on the Dragon Talk podcast. Me and Kate Welch, I press the create random character button. We pop out a 3rd level character, all the stats, all the feats, all the spells picked out for us, all the skills picked out for us, and then we create a character based on it. And that segment just couldn't really exist without an amazing tool like D&D Beyond. It just makes D&D play come to life. So check it out if you haven't already. And at 9 a.m. on Thursday is where Adam Bradford talks about the updates and things that are coming from that product. At 1 p.m. Pacific time, we have Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. That's where they talk about all of the fun characters that are in that game, including all 4 of the Waffle crew. I believe all 4 of them are now playable characters in Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. Yes, we finally got them. But that's pretty awesome. They will be going through 2 hours playing with what's going on in that game. And then again, the aforementioned Welch's Game Juice with Kate Welch, otherwise known as Rosie B. Stinger, from the Acquisitions Incorporated C Team and a D&D designer here on the D&D team. She plays through Baldur's Gate 2, the Enhanced Edition. Check out there if you want to get a code from Beamdog about all of the fun, to try out the Enhanced Edition. She plays that for 2 hours from 3 to 5 p.m. And then we're hosting Critical Role at 7 p.m. on Thursday night. On Friday, we have our, actually there's 2 things that are happening on this Friday. One is Spoilers and Swag. That's when Kate Welch and Nathan Stewart from the D&D team here ruin all my communication plans and mess up by spoiling some fun things. They will be having a lot to talk about on Friday, so tune in about what is going on. That's going to be 11 a.m. here on the D&D channel. And then at 12 noon, I will be talking to myself, or maybe another special surprise host, which should be coming in. I believe that's going to be Lisa Chen, host of Adventurers Wanted. She's here and I believe would be a great person to bounce off as we speak to TK Johnson. Hi, TK. About all of the fun stuff that they have been doing, including dungeon mastering for Tales from the Mist. So look forward to that. That interview is from 1 p.m. to 2, and then we'll be recording a segment. I think I got to get Chris Perkins or Jeremy Crawford in to do a sage advice on that 2 p.m. I got to ask him to see if he can do that. 3 p.m. Pacific time on Friday is when Binwin plays Idle Champions. That's the incomparable Scott Kurtz at PvP Online and Corey Kasani playing through some fun Idle Champion stuff. And then 6 p.m. Tales from the Mists. That's when Dungeon Master TK Johnson will be leading 4 Ravenloft natives through the classic adventures in the Domain of Dread. That should be tons of fun. So check that out on Friday at 6 p.m. Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, we are hosting another fun series, Guild Gates and Goblins. They'll be playing through Curse of Strahd. So look for that. They are from the UK, so that's a newer group. Able to check that out if you haven't already. And then on Saturday at 4 p.m., we're hosting Trace Albus with Elwarius, who I believe was in the chat earlier. So check that out at 4 p.m. Pacific time if you can. And then on Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, we are hosting, again, D4 with Dustin Fletcher, who I believe is also in the chat. So a whole bunch of people. I'm so glad we're hosting all of your fun stuff. And it's going to be a really, really busy week of amazing D&D content, so I can't wait. I am going to get off here and get ready for episode 137 of Dice Camera Action with Chris Perkins and the Waffle Crew. Enjoy. It's always as fun being with you all here. I am excited to always share some fun D&D news for you, and I get really amped up from all the caffeine, and that's why I get to talk really fast for the last 5 to 10 minutes. Hope you got all that information, packed it in real tight. You are awesome, and have a lot of fun watching Dice Camera Action, and I'll see you later. Bye. I'm still waving. Okay, bye.